Thank you for attending my session on temporary buydowns. A little bit about myself. I am a licensed mortgage loan originator in Massachusetts and some surrounding states, including Florida. I started in the business in 2004 as a licensed real estate agent. I practiced real estate sales for 8 years before deciding to focus most of my energy on mortgages. Over 18 years in the mortgage business, I participated in various capacities, including finance, compliance, and operations. In this session, my goals are to educate. What is a temporary buydown? It's actually been around for a long time. We haven't done them in decades because the mortgage market has been pretty stable. In recent years, we have clearly been in a seller's market, so there was less incentive for sellers to accommodate creative financing. So why use a buydown? Why is it beneficial now? Well, the real estate market shifted very quickly. That was the story in 2022. Mortgage rates have moved from historical lows to double in such a short amount of time. So while the market adjusts to the shift, the buy-down strategy is something to consider. I hope to illustrate how this strategy benefits both buyers and sellers. And I hope to illustrate the mechanics. It's important to understand how a temporary buy-down works because they do involve seller credits, which need to be negotiated into the purchase and sale agreements. Let's cover the basics. What is a temporary buy-down? It's a temporary rate reduction in the first 1 to 2 years, even 3 years, depending on which option the borrower chooses. The buy-down cost is typically funded through seller-paid credits. A 2-1 buy-down is most popular, where the rate is 2 points less during the first year and 1 point less during the second year. It's important to know that the borrower must qualify at the full note rate. And buy-downs are available in most loan products. By the way, I am an independent broker, so I work with various lenders who offer various versions of the mortgage buy-downs. The buyer has many options to structure a buy-down. Let's take an example of a 30-year fixed loan at 6%, which we will refer as the full note rate. Remember, the buyer needs to qualify at this note rate. If the buyer elects a 1-0 buy-down, in year 1, the rate is 1% less than the note rate. And after the first year, the rate resets to the note rate, 6%. If the borrower elects a 2-1 buy-down, in year 1, the rate will be 2% less. In year 2, 1% less. And then year 3, it resets to the note rate at 6%. The next example is a 3-2-1 temporary buy-down. I think you get the gist of it. It's almost like an ARM, but in these loans, we know what the rate will reset to. The strategy is that we think in a couple of years, the rates will settle back down into the 5s, at which point the borrower can refinance before the rate reset. Let's go through the buyer benefits. The market has shifted. I'm not sure if the pendulum has swung completely to the buyer side, but it certainly is more balanced. The problem now is that mortgage rates and prices are high. So how do we get buyers motivated? Sellers are more willing to negotiate now, but simple price reductions are not enough to offset the effect that higher mortgage rates have had to buyer power. Offering a credit to fund a buy-down subsidy can be an alternative to more drastic price reductions. I'll show later how a buy-down would give better dollar-for-dollar benefits to the buyer. Also note, the buy-down subsidy belongs to the borrower. If the loan is refinanced or paid off before the subsidy is used up, the buyer gets this refunded or netted back. Let's not forget the strategy helps both buyers and sellers. The market is softening. Some markets are experiencing longer term times. Sellers who are willing to consider closing cost credits will gain a competitive edge and move their home quicker. It's a win-win strategy contributing to market stabilization. I think some buyers are not looking for a huge price reduction. Rather, they are more motivated by home ownership and the overall benefits. They're ready to stop renting, but the mortgage payment needs to work. This is my Buydown calculator, which illustrates how to calculate savings and the seller credits needed for a 2-1 and a 1-0 Buydown. I'm happy to run an individual scenario for you to help negotiate what the seller credit needs to be. In this example, I'm using $625,000 as a purchase price. With 20% down, the loan amount is $500,000. The rate in this scenario is about 6%. We'll refer to this as the note rate. The monthly payment at 6% is $29.97. This is how a 2-1 Buydown works. In the first year, the rate will be 2 points lower than the note rate, which gives you a monthly savings of over $600. The second year, the rate will adjust to 1% lower than the note rate, which still gives you a monthly savings of over $300. Over the 2 years, the total savings is $11,000. This is the seller credit needed to buy down the monthly payments. What if the buyer would rather take the seller concession as a price reduction? Either way is irrelevant to the seller. The seller still nets the same, either in price reduction or credits, but it greatly benefits the buyer as they get immediate savings from lower payments. In the slide, I will illustrate a dollar for dollar comparison. In the 2-1 Buydown example, the seller credit needed was $11,000. So let's compare the cash flow benefit to the buyer of price reduction versus applying the credit towards lowering the rate. The loan amount is a little lower. Comparative P&I on the slightly lower loan is a $52 per month savings. If you apply the seller credit towards buying down the rate, the resulting monthly savings is much bigger. If you calculate the comparative time frames, the buyer would realize the same savings in a shorter amount of time. So clearly, in the 2-1 Buydown example, the borrower realized the savings more immediately. In closing, here is my information. I am happy to be a resource for you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your trust.